Hello there, dear friends, fellow human beings. This is Domas. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. Some call it the Soul Channel. I like to call it my consciousness expanding channel, where I reflect on the things going on in my life and some of the things you might connect with, some you might not. Sort of a diary that some people like to follow, some people don't. But I was thinking today about addiction and addiction to substances, addiction to people. I was listening to some podcast with Tim Fletcher yesterday, who is a psychologist and a priest, I think. And he talked about narcissism and co-narcissists, so the enablers. And there was one interesting thing that he said, that we inside a couple, inside a relationship, you could have a narcissist and a co-narcissist switch places, and that's what always happens. That's what happens a lot of the times, that we don't just one is a complete narcissist and the other one isn't. Usually they switch places because narcissists also like to please. They like to give, but the giving is for getting something back and not just out of pure heart and wanting to do good. It comes from childhood, and the way he explained it was much better than I will try to explain it. But basically, as a child, you want to express yourself, you want to be authentic, and you want to be you. That's what I always say, do you. I encourage people to get back to their authenticity in any way possible, because that authenticity has been diminished in our lives when we were children. For some more, for some less. But we all want to be authentic as children. We all want to express ourselves, and we always say like, "Oh, he's like a child," He's so authentic. He just does what he likes, And some people diminish that light. Some parents didn't get to experience that freedom as children. So when they have their own children, they start to try and diminish that fire in the kids as well. And what happens is the children, instead of being authentic, they start to try to behave, and that behavior gets rewarded by love, because if you don't behave, we're not going to love you. So when the child learns to behave just in order to survive, he's just trying to survive, because otherwise he's not getting the fatherly and motherly love. So the child learns to please, and the child becomes this pleaser that wants to make daddy and mommy happy, Also, what happens, is what he said, is that the child realizes that he needs to be happy, or she needs to be happy all the time, because if he isn't happy, then the parents aren't happy, So yeah, that's my short explanation, and that's how we learn to please. And what it grows into as we get older is in these narcissistic tendencies that we give, we please, we try to do everything to make our partner love us, not just for the fact that we are as we are and the other person should love us. We start to try and act a certain way, be a certain type of way, bring gifts, and it's all fine when it's done with love, but when it's done with this wanting to get something back, it kind of becomes like a manipulation. And if you don't get something back, then all things start to erupt and explode. Like bad emotions start coming up, you start to become bitter. And that's all comes from childhood. It's all, I know I always talk about childhood, and some people say, oh, you shouldn't blame your parents, and I don't think it's blame. I think it's more of an understanding of why you do the certain things you do, because I'm very afraid to put people down and make them feel sad, and I think I know why, but I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of the times when I was a kid, I used to feel what my parents were going through. Like all the family issues, all the things that was their problems really was becoming my emotional problems. I was absorbing it, like emotionally. I was listening to it. I was listening to my mom. I was listening to the conversations that were happening behind our ears, and I soaked it up. And what did I do in order to not feel that pain, not feel that horrible state of mind? I would go out and drink. I would try to go out and have fun. I would go out and try to forget, not even realizing that I wasn't doing anything good. I was just adding to the problem. And a lot of people experience poverty in Lithuania. I think we weren't, in poverty, but it was definitely a lack, and that lack kind of forms this feeling that you lack something. You lack a certain characteristic, or you're just not good enough to be wealthy. It feels like a curse. It feels like something that's come onto you and you can't get rid of it. It's like a disease. But all these things aside, you're doing really well. We gotta manifest something good in this world. I realize when I'm talking about these things, what's the point? What's the point of going back and analyzing and digging when your word is your power? So it's good to realize what has happened and why you're acting the certain way that you're acting. But then in this moment, you have the power to change things. You have the power to say it out loud that you're doing well, that you're wealthy, even if you don't have a dime in your pocket, but you're wealthy. Even if you have some money, you're wealthy. Even if you just have yourself and nobody around you, you still have your life and you can do things with it. So you're wealthy, you got friends, you got family, and I think the money reflects the state of mind that you're in, that energy that you generate, and that gets put out into the world as somehow, in some way, it comes back to you. So I think it's important to focus on the good sides. So I just want you to know that I'm proud of you and you're doing really well. All of your biggest problems are behind you and you're marvelous. You're strong. You're a good human being. You're trying your best to do good in this world, and keep doing that. And thank you for being here. Thank you for coming and spending the time with me. Keep digging into your subconscious mind to find the gold, to find what you need to find. Have a great day, morning, evening, nighttime, and I'll catch you in the next one. Much love, take care, and peace.